Is there a diversity problem in Silicon Valley?
I think that there is, well, there is and there isn't, right? So there are tons of, Asian Americans, there are, black folks in the Valley, there are Hispanics in the Valley, et cetera. I think, for the context of this conversation, from the African American lens, there certainly is. There aren't very many folks who kind of look like me in positions of leadership all around the Valley, and I think that that's something that needs to be discussed and hopefully changed.
Why aren't there many folks that look like you out there?
Yeah, I think there are two big reasons, going back to this idea of education and access. I reflect back on my story. I had no idea about the Valley and kind of what existed out here until I moved out here. And then I worked to educate myself on what existed. And secondly, again, the access, right? Like, how can I get connected with the movers and shakers and the folks who can actually get me to where I need to be? Folks have been dealing with the education side and STEM training, et cetera, but very few people have really been focusing on the access lens. And I think when you bring the two together, you can build something really special and interesting and allow people to be successful in the Valley.
What risk, because it seems like people are finally beginning to talk about diversity as an issue in the Valley, and it seems like a very hot-button issue, What risk do we face if we don't diversify the Valley?
So it's a very good question. There's one date that I think really stands out in my mind, which I think a lot of people should start focusing on, and it's the year 2040. And that's the year that underrepresented minorities, blacks and Hispanics, will no longer be the minority, will be the majority, right? And if that's the case, we need to start thinking about putting folks like blacks, Hispanics, among others, in positions of leadership and or leading kind of companies and organizations towards kind of that goal in that year. And the reason I say that is because now you're going to have to start building products that appeal to a broader kind of consumer base. And if we don't do that, we'll be missing the boat in a very big way. And not only that, this is the first year when you think about blacks and Hispanic children that were born, where more than 50% were actually black and Hispanic. And that's really telling for kind of our future. And you think about things like job creation and just wealth for the nation. I think that's important, and we don't want to miss that boat.
There's been some controversy over, someone said that maybe there's a negative bias. Maybe Silicon Valley's dying to diversify their portfolio, so maybe they're going to get a minority startup in their portfolio just to say they have one. Is that, what do you tell people who say that?
That doesn't make any sense. I think first and foremost, at the end of the day, you need to put people in your company or in your portfolio of companies that will help you build a better business. I think it's been proven that more diverse companies can actually lead to kind of increased bottom line, among other things. And you want this diversity of perspective. I think that's more important than just diversity itself. Diversity of perspective is probably the more important piece of it all. And I think the quicker we get to that, the better off everyone will be.
What's Silicon Valley going to look like in 10, 15 years from now?
So I know what it will look like by the year 2040.
Let's
or
try
I
for
think
that.
I know what it should look like. And I think it should look like America. I think that, I hope so. I want it to, and it's my hope that I can do everything that I can to make that so.